evening, it's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adesawe Kanda. I am Portia Gabo.
And my name is Kwesi Asari. And coming up in the next 60 minutes.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
Former Majority Leader and MP for Swami, Osei Mensah-Bonsu, criticizes ministerial vetting process.
We'll take you to the Kashima cluster of schools in the Ablikuma North constituency, which is currently running a shift system after devastating fire damaged parts of the school building in December 2024.
Coming up later in business, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, makes a strong case for commercialization of bulk oil storage and transportation and its subsequent listing on the Ghana Stock Exchange.
On the international front, Daniel Chapo of Mozambique's long-ruling Frelimo party sworn in as president after months of protest against his disputed election victory.
We've got details of all these stories plus many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can join us with your views, comments and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Feel free to visit any of our social media pages on Facebook and on X. Now, the minority in Parliament is firing on all cylinders, accusing the chairman of the vetting committee of stifling their ability to scrutinize minister designates during the recent vetting process. My colleague Judith Brown has more.
The minority in Parliament is launching a scathing attack on the minister designates, accusing them of various issues. At the forefront of their criticism is the accusation of bias against the chairman of the Appointments Committee, following the recently concluded ministerial vetting process.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chairman of the Appointments Committee was the first real obstacle to a diligent vetting of the ministerial nominees. He denied the Ghanaian people and the minority members of the committee the opportunity to conduct a thorough vetting of the nominees.
According to the minority, the finance minister designate did not have a plan to address revenue shortfalls after taxes were scrapped.
While we believe expenditure cuts could be a possible way to match revenue with expenses in order not to run into fiscal deficits, it is not in itself the ultimate solution to address revenue shortfalls.
The minority also took aim at the energy minister designate, accusing him of spreading misleading information about the fuel situation.
When pressed for clarification, he shifted his narrative, specifying that he was referring only to heavy fuel, HFO, or AXA and light crude oil, Ozonon-Asubin. This is misleading, as it disregards the fact that SENPA had sufficient light crude oil reserves to last for 23 days, and that the procurement of fuel for independent power producers, IPPs, is an ongoing process.
The caucus further accused the Attorney General and Minister of Justice designate of conflict of interest. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
Former Majority Leader and MP for Swami, Osei Mensah-Bonsu, has expressed reservations over the open confrontations witnessed during the vetting of President Mahama's first ministerial nominees. He argues that the vetting process should not have taken place at all, considering Parliament is still forming committees that will play a role in the vetting process. We'll bring you the story shortly, but it's about former NP for Soame Osei Mensa Bonsu expressing reservations over the open confrontations that were witnessed during the vetting of President Mahama's first ministerial nominees.
The orders provide that they should be joined by these relevant
committees.
The committees have not been set up. The committees have not been set up. And the Speaker of Parliament is the chairman of the Committee on Selection.
Which is supposed to set up these committees.
And the Speaker knows that these committees have not been set up. The Committee on Selection, that is Article 205. The Committee on Selection shall comprise the Speaker as the chairperson and no more than 14 members of Parliament. The Committee on Selection shall prepare and report to the House within the first 10 sitting days after appointment the list of members to compose the standing and select committees of the House.
So for you, there was a lot of premises that was wrong.
Those things have not been done. Those things have not been done yet.
So the vetting shouldn't have taken place.
In my view, no. And I thought that what ought to have been done, acknowledging that the committees have not been set up yet, would have been, once the names came, the clerks to the committees will be known, and the clerks will then do the advertisement, right, on behalf of the emerging committee, so to speak. And then within that time, the Speaker could have called, and the Speaker adjourned the meeting to some other
21st.
Yeah. When we know that the committees have not been set up, and the committees are supposed to join these people to make the appointment committee whole. So why did you adjourn up to the 20-something, knowing that the committees have not been set up? I thought what ought to have been done immediately and speedily would have been for the Committee of Selection to have been composed, so that maybe if they had to be away for about 1 week or so, the committee, the Parliament, and of course I know also that they needed to do some orientation
for first time.
I was part of it. It was good. But do they have to be home for close to 2 weeks before coming back when important assignments, need to be performed? So that's my challenge.
The general balance
that's my challenge.
Is that why we saw some of the things we saw play out? Questions of whether or not friends of the committee could be allowed to ask questions, and I mean there are rules as well that govern the appointment committee, how questions are asked and all of that. That became a subject of huge contestation during this vetting process.
I think that if the committee, at least the leadership, had an engagement ahead of time, those things would not have played out in the public. Because some of these, the committees of Parliament, I have always been urging that there should be less acrimony at the committees. The committees should be seen to be working together. Unfortunately, over the past 4 years in particular, for whatever reason, it's made to appear as if even within the committees there are two sides, the force and against. And I think that is not good for the image of Parliament. In developing Parliament, you see.
Let's speak to Roxanne Nelson Dafiameto. He is South Dai MP and a member of the Appointments Committee of the 9th Parliament. Thank you so much for your time. First of all, your initial reaction to Osei Mensa Bonsu saying that the vetting process should not have taken place at all because the House is still forming committees that will play a key role in the vetting process. Hello. Mr. Dafiameto, can you hear me? You're having difficulty trying to reach him. Honorable, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, first of all, your initial reaction to Osei Mensa Bonsu saying that the vetting should not have taken place at all because the House is still forming committees that will play a key role in the vetting process.
Thank you very much. I have an enormous regard for the Honorable Osei Mensa Bonsu, the former majority leader, minority leader, and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs. But I think on this matter is totally wrong. some committees have been constituted, properly constituted, and he knows, including the appointment committee, including the selection committee, including the House committee. So he knows, he's aware. It is not every time that Parliament will have to constitute all the committees of Parliament before it's able to perform its functions, especially functions that ought to be performed by committees. Now, let's have recourse to Order 217 of our standing orders, which deals with the composition of the appointment committee. And with your leave, let me read. Order 217, Rule 1, is to this effect. The appointment committee comprises the first deputy speaker as chairperson, minority leader as ranking member, the deputy majority leader as vice chairperson, the deputy minority leader as deputy ranking member, and the following other members: majority chief whip, minority chief whip, and 5 other members selected based on the numerical strength of the parties in Parliament. Now, in constituting this committee, Parliament has the following as members. Now, you have Honorable Bernard here for First Deputy Speaker, Chairman. We have Honorable Amma Kofi-Buwa as Vice Chair. Honorable Governor Kwame Abuja, Majority Chief Whip. Mahama Yariga as member. Agnes Namumolati as member. Shaibu Mahama as member. Alasa Numa as member. Alexander Afenyo Markin as ranking. Patricia Piaget as deputy ranking. Frank Anodompre as minority chief whip. And then you have Patrick Yabuama. Because of the current proportion of the House, we if you take the ratio, it is 3-1. So we dominate them on that proportion. Now, in respect of the other membership from other committees, the House directed, the Speaker directed that the caucus should appoint other members that will represent them on this committee. Now, what did the minority do? They brought the Honorable Dr. Gideon Buaku, a first timer who is not a member, to come and participate and watch. They brought the Honorable the Honorable Ahmed Chai, who is the second deputy whip for the minority members. They brought Charles Fortin for Tema Central as a first timer. They brought John Daku, that's the new member for Mencia, also as Mencia also as a member. Then they brought one other member and a lady. All these honorable members were first timers. They don't have voting rights. But the chairman went out of his way and gave them opportunity to ask questions. They were given the opportunity to ask relevant questions in respect of the vetting of the minister responsible for finance, for energy, and attorney general and minister for justice. For instance, when one of them was given the opportunity, they decided to be questioning the residential address.
Now, Honorable, you were part of the vetting process. What's your response to claims by members of the minority caucus against the chair, accusing the chair as well as your side of bias? There's also been some concerns from the public that the chair of the committee was very soft. How would you react to these?
Right. This press conference coming today, 3 clear days after the vetting process ended on Monday, is a complete afterthought. Complete afterthought, because they've had the opportunity to do what they ought to do, but they flapped it and allowed their minority leader to have a full day to ask frivolous questions for nearly 3 hours. Everybody saw it. So to come back and complain that you were not given opportunity to ask relevant questions is neither here nor there. If you were given the opportunity and you decided to major in the minors, that is your problem. Number two, it is also inaccurate that the proceedings, the composition and the proceedings of the appointment committee is unconstitutional. Parliament is a master of its own rules. And the appointment committee was properly constituted to do its work. Three, let me give you an example. This same group of people, when they were in government just last month, they brought the just outgone minister for energy. They submitted his name to Parliament on Friday late afternoon. The next day, Saturday, they compelled Parliament to vet him. Nobody had the opportunity to receive any memo or anything about his TV. But Parliament was compelled because they were there in government and they had majority. We were compelled to vet him, and he was passed within 12 hours. So this complaint about the chairman of the appointment committee is neither here nor there. Indeed,
Honourable, thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, we do not have enough time to continue with this interview, but we are so grateful for your time. Honourable Roxanne Nelson Dapiamato is South-Dai MP as well as a member of the Appointment Committee of Parliament.
Thanks very much, Portia. Let's do some other stories now. And governance expert, Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah, has described the vetting of the 3 ministerial nominees on Monday by the Appointments Committee, advising the chairman of the committee to properly regulate the process to ensure Ghanaians get the best out of the nominees. Evelyn Tingma has more.
It was the first day at work for the new members on the Appointments Committee of Parliament. Minister-designate for Finance, Dr. Kasiel Atoforson, Minister-designate for Energy, John Abdullahi Jinapor, and Minister-designate for the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Dominic Ayine, were vetted. The committee members, according to some, asked the right questions, but not without some reservations. Governance expert Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah says the chairman, Bernard Ahiafo, needs to be a bit firmer in controlling, and the minority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markins, also needs to be temperate.
Afenyo-Markins must be a bit temperate. I think he's a little bit too forceful, too assertive, which is not bad, but I think when you are doing this kind of work, there might be some measurement. All of them should respect their own rules and procedures. For instance, if you are given one question to ask, you don't try to do 2 or 3 or 4 and insist on other things. This is a very important national exercise. It's not an arena for showboating or grandstanding. I think it's a serious business.
Professor Bafo Agyeman-Duah expressed satisfaction with the questions that were asked.
Questions were good. You know, the one that led to the walkout by the minority leader, for instance, they were insisting on a question about a possible conflict of interest, where the new Attorney General, I think previously his firm was involved in certain deals, as lawyers are expected to do. But I think the idea was to figure out that as a new Attorney General, he is not going to be affected by those past work that he did.
He lauded the nominees for demonstrating deep knowledge of the sectors that they have been nominated to head.
I particularly enjoyed the responses of the nominees. John Jinapor was, as usual, very sharp. He demonstrated deep knowledge and appreciation of the problem we have with the energy sector. And I appreciated his remarks very well. So was, I think, the other nominees. We're expecting that they'll bring some efficiency, and their youthful enthusiasm hopefully will also lead them to initiate programs that will help to rebuild their various sectors.
The governance experts noted that if all the presidential nominees would exhibit high knowledge as witnessed on Monday with the 3 nominees, there will be a good team to work for the president. Evelyn Tingma, TV3 News, Parliament House.
A reminder, you're still watching News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has made some key national security appointments in his government. A statement signed by the acting spokesperson to the President, Felix Kwakye-Ofosu, said the appointment reflects President Mahama's commitment to enhancing national security and ensuring the safety of citizens. Now, let me now take you through the names. So, national security appointments. Prosper Bani is now the National Security Advisor to the President. DCOP Abdul Osman Razak is now the National Security Coordinator. COP retired Nathan Kofi Boakye is Director of Operations at the Presidency to oversee operational effectiveness in security matters. And Charles Kipo is Director General of the National Intelligence Bureau. In more news tonight, in Ghana, the conversation about women's representation in governance has gained momentum over the years. President John Mahama's government has reignited this debate with strides in gender inclusivity. A report by Christabel Success Trevor.
President John Mahama's return to office has ushered in a historic moment for Ghanaian politics, with Ghana's first ever female vice president. On January 6, 2025, John Dramani Mahama announced 7 appointments to the office of the president, which included 2 women, Dr. Valerie Sawyer, Senior Presidential Advisor, Governmental Affairs, and Marietta Ejewa Brew, Legal Counsel to the President. President Mahama's first batch of 3 ministers designates for Finance, Energy, and Attorney General were all men. Next came the first 10 regional ministers designates, of which 3 were women. Linda Akwele Oklo for Greater Accra, Rita Akosua Wate for the Eastern Region, and Charity Gardiner for the Ahafo Region, making 30% in line with Mahama's promise. Another batch of appointments to key national security positions announced on Wednesday, January 15, did not include any woman. Convener of the Affirmative Action Coalition Bill, Sheila Menkapremo, emphasizes the importance of having women in leadership.
We are very happy that Ghana, for the first time, has a female vice president. It's very good. Our expectation, speaking from the Affirmative Action Law Coalition, is that at least 30% of all appointments should be women. So it is very important for us to ensure that the provisions to do with Parliament become tougher and bite. We will need a constitutional review to ensure that gender representation and inclusiveness is one of the criteria for qualification for Parliament by political parties.
Cultural biases, limited opportunities, and entrenched societal expectations still hinder women from ascending to leadership roles. Despite progress, gender advocate and senior lecturer at the Sociology Department, University of Ghana, Dr. Samson Obedapia, says systematic challenges persist, and until they are stopped, there would be less women representation in leadership.
We've only improved 1 seat out of the 2020 Parliament. Now we have 276. So for me, it shows how woefully we've done as a country. Even there are still societies where they don't see the reason why a woman should contest a political position. And so we break those cultural barriers. It would be difficult for us to achieve that equal representation of women when it comes to political representation.
Then President Akufo-Addo in September 2024 gave assent to the Affirmative Action Gender Equity Bill 2024. The bill sets specific targets for gender representation, aiming for 30% by 2026, 35% by 2028, and 50% by 2030. Christabel Success Trevor, TV3 News, Accra.
The Civil and Local Government Staff Association, CLOGSAG, has called on President Mahama to scrap agencies such as the TVET and COTSVET since it duplicates the functions of the public service. CLOGSAG says the current agencies have been created to waste government resources without result-oriented direction. A report by Daniel Opoku.
President John Dramani Mahama has announced the merger of some ministries within the public service. This decision by the president has triggered widespread discontent among some members of Labour. The Trades Union Congress (TUC) has already expressed grave concern about the merger and wants the president to roll out a redeployment system for workers who may be affected. However, the Civil and Local Government Staff Association (CLOGSAG) Ghana has indicated the merger will not impact workers. It further explained that the president should consider scrapping some agencies that have duplicated the functions of public services. Isaac Bampuado is the Executive Secretary of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association.
The president should also look at services that have been hived off from the civil service. We think it's wrong, it's a duplication, and it's just creating unnecessary bureaucracy. So those two must be halted. Which services are you referring to? Like LUPSA. When you go to Lands Commission, you go to this TVET, and they are really unnecessary. The TVET, COVET, or this thing, services created. Why do you need to create the services? Create another bureaucracy for them. You go to social welfare, community. These are institutions that have been in existence, and they have their mandate. But the whole thing was done haphazardly. No recourse even to the councils involved, because the councils have certain mandates. When it comes to curtailing certain services, it must go through, so there must be proper research done.
He said the president should consider reintroducing the general orders, which have been suspended from the public service.
Let's bring back the general orders. General orders. We used to have in the system what we call general orders, and that will give you the processes on any transaction. In the service, we have nothing like discretion. Now, these general orders have been thrown out, and it's like people now do things using their discretion, and that's why you have problems. Let's bring.
In more news tonight, the Kashima cluster of schools in the Ablekuma North constituency of the Greater Accra region is running a shift system after a devastating fire damaged parts of the school building. A visit to the school Wednesday afternoon saw the morning shift pupils going home to pave way for the afternoon shift. A report by Joseph Armstrong.
It's 1 p.m. at the Kashima cluster of schools in Ablekuma North constituency in the Greater Accra region. These pupils have closed for the day, making way for the afternoon shift. Regardless of the shift system, some of the classrooms are still congested. This is a result of the blaze which broke out on Tuesday, December 17, 2024, and gutted the structures housing the school's library, science laboratory, and examination center, affecting many other classrooms. At the time of the fire, the building was storing election ballot papers from the recently concluded 2024 general election, the outcome of which remains in dispute. Weeks after the fire, the school has been left unattended to.
This is a current state of the Kashima cluster of school library that was inaugurated less than 2 years ago. Unfortunately, it got burnt during the election period, leading to the destruction of ballot boxes, ballot papers, and some school books. Management of the school says they had to use their own money to cordon off the affected area to prevent the pupils from encroaching on the area. Pupils told the news team the situation is negatively impacting them.
Our classroom is bent, our library is bent, our computer lab is bent. We just make noise, not learning. And we don't even feel comfortable sitting. We sit in three.
Because of this, those in primary are running shifts.
The Ablekuma North Education Director, Perry Ofori, expressed concern over the slow pace of the investigation into the cause of the fire.
Before reopening, we had not heard anything from either the fire service or the police. We were trying to get some information from the police as to what we need to do, but we were not getting anything from them.
He called for support from the general public.
In order for the children not to stray into the block, the bent block, we are also soliciting for support to barricade that particular block.
Meanwhile, the NDC parliamentary candidate for the Ablekuma North constituency, Irabman Owen, visited the school to assess the level of destruction. She called on the Electoral Commission and the general public to come to the aid of the school. Joseph Armstrong, Good Alugbe TV3, Kashima, Accra.
The National Democratic Congress has begun processes to challenge what it describes as fraudulent declaration of parliamentary results in 3 constituencies within the Ashanti region in the just-ended 2024 elections. The party insists it duly won those seats and was not part of the recollation and redeclaration process.
On January 6, 2025, the legal team of the National Democratic Congress filed a petition at the Kumasi High Court to challenge the outcome of the December 7, 2024 parliamentary results in 3 constituencies in the Ashanti region. These constituencies are Obuasi East, Afuano North, and Afuano Southwest.
MPP went to court on mandamus comparing the EC to recollect those results again without adding Obuasi East, because they know very well, per the merits of the case, that they don't have a matter at all. When it comes to Mankranso, that is Afuano Southwest, the same thing has happened. When you go to Afuano North, you went to court on mandamus. The court granted your application. When you have that order, you have to serve me a copy of that order and invite me to be part of the recollation. But the Electoral Commission did not do that.
The NDC legal team was in court on Wednesday, January 15, to file ex parte motion for security for cost, of which the court granted and pegged it at 40,000 Ghana cedis for each of the petition. Though the Electoral Commission has officially declared the 3 seats for the New Patriotic Party, the NDC is still convinced it won those seats, and for that matter, it is challenging it in court.
We have 183 seats from NDC and 4 independent people have joined our people in Parliament. And for that matter, we have 187 members of Parliament, so we will have the 2/3 majority. But the reason why we're pursuing this matter is for justice to be done. Justice supposed to be done. And I can assure the people of Ghana and Ashanti region, especially our supporters, numerous supporters in Afuano North, Obuasi East, and Afuano Southwest, that justice will be done and their people that they voted for will be in Parliament.
The party will be back in court on Monday, January 20, to seek an injunction on the 3 constituencies before proceeding to the substantive case. We will be following this development keenly and update you subsequently. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Let's go to the western region, where fishing activities in Kambonli in the Elembele district have come to a halt following a mysterious disease affecting their catch. The desperate fishermen are calling for urgent intervention as they say it is severely impacting their economy. Irama Smith has more.
Kambonli's fishermen report that for about a month now, fish caught have severe skin abnormalities, characterized by red, swollen lesions that quickly escalate into gaping wounds. The abdomen is also usually rotten, with the scales falling off in patches, rendering them unsellable and unfit for consumption. This is causing havoc on the economy of the community. The news team joined them on one of their fishing expeditions on the Ebi River. They set wire mesh traps at strategic points to trap the fish. It's been nearly a month since we started noticing these unusual changes in our catch. The fishes look rotten, rendering them unsellable and severely impacting our income. We observed that apart from the change in color of the water, the river also emits a potent, unbearable stench. Concerned about the potential health implications, the team met with the Elembele District Health Director, Dr. Augustine Amwakun.
There's likely to be health implication
we cannot be emphatic now because we don't know the exact cause. So when the team come and they take sample of the fish, sample of the water, and we test, then we'll know what is actually causing it, be it a chemical or whatever is causing it.
For now, the traditional authorities have imposed a temporary ban on all fishing activities on the Fia, Ebi and Amanzule rivers to facilitate a thorough investigation by the relevant stakeholders to ensure the safety and well-being of the community.
They were advised to keep off from the river, to work on the river, because now they don't know actually what the cause is. So we'll report to the appropriate porters. When they investigate and see what is happening, then they can advise accordingly. So for now, we have seized them. They don't go to the river.
Shaibu Abdullah Isaka says he is in a dilemma about what to do with fish he bought earlier.
As a result of this emergency, anybody who has bought some already and then kept for home consumption is in a dilemma. As I speak to you, I bought mine about 2 weeks ago, hoping that at the appropriate time I will use it. Now that this issue has come out, I have also kept it, waiting for the outcome of the investigation that will be carried out. So in fact, it's a problem.
These fishmongers can only lament on the impact of the situation on their livelihoods. Our livelihoods have been severely affected. Life has become very challenging as many of us have been rendered jobless. We are appealing urgently to the authorities to expedite investigations to find a lasting solution to it. Meanwhile, the Western Regional Fisheries Commission are yet to investigate the situation. For now, Kambungli and its surrounding communities will just have to hope and pray for the urgent intervention they are craving for. Irama Smith, TV3 News, Kambungli.
This is News 360. We'll be back shortly.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Now, the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, has called on the government to commercialize the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited, BOST, and list it on the stock exchange. According to the civil society organization, this has become necessary as BOST currently receives almost 600 million cedis in margins, despite a shift from its core mandate.
Once taxed primarily with strategic stockpiling, BOST now manages around 20% of Ghana's petroleum imports through the Gold for Oil program. Critics say this represents a drift from its core mandate, which includes maintaining strategic fuel reserves for the nation. Concerns persist that BOST has not met expectations in fulfilling this critical function.
For an entity that is tasked with building strategic reserve, BOST now controls about 20% of the petroleum import market through the government's Gold for Oil program, making it deviate for its core mandate. And this commercial shift really questions BOST's continuous receipt of regulatory margins. 12 pesos per litre we give to BOST to compete with the private sector that builds and maintains their own infrastructure.
ACEP argues that commercializing BOST would improve transparency and accountability in its operations while alleviating the financial burden on consumers.
The market we operate now shows that we do not need BOST. Or if we continue to have BOST, then we should commercialize it and list it on the stock exchange. This will ensure transparency and accountability in BOST operations while reducing the burden on consumers. That's another 12 pesos kicked out of the payment.
These discussions formed part of a press conference organized by ACEP to address issues in Ghana's downstream petroleum sector. Michael Obodu, 3 Business, Accra. Now, the Executive Director at the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, SEMSE, Benjamin Nsia, has cautioned that fuel prices in Ghana may increase in the next pricing window. This forecast is driven by the recent spike in global crude prices, which has surpassed $80 per barrel for the first time since October 2024, coupled with the cedi's volatility.
Experts attribute the rise in global crude prices to production cuts triggered by decreased demand from China, the world's largest consumer, and recent U.S. sanctions on Russia's hydrocarbons. In an interview with 3 Business, SEMSE Director Benjamin Nsia noted that this development will likely lead to higher prices at local fuel pumps.
In the coming windows, especially the second window of January, prices are likely to escalate, S-pump prices are likely to escalate, and they are doing so because price of refined products are also seeing some surges as a result of Brent price increasing. Aside price increasing on the international market, that's price of refined products increasing on the international market, we've also seen an unstable, volatile cedi. So if the cedi continues to depreciate against the dollar, it means that there's going to be a dual effect on the price of S-pump locally, and that means that the price of S-pump might even surge above 16 Ghana cedis per litre in the second window of January, and that is a cause for worry.
Now, away from the energy sector, a recent data from the Ghana Statistical Service has shown that food items dominated the list of top drivers of inflation in 2024, accounted for 13 out of the 15 top items. The data further revealed staggering price increases in specific food items over the past 6 years. Notably, the average price of smoked herring skyrocketed by 400% from December 2018 to December 2024. At a stakeholder engagement in Accra, the service revealed this trend highlights the significant impact of food price inflation on Ghana's economy and the need for targeted policies to address this issue.
The meeting aimed to foster a collaborative dialogue and promote a deeper understanding of the complex factors driving inflation. It brought together government officials, media representatives, and other key stakeholders. The retrospective analysis indicated that specific items consistently recorded the highest price changes, notably fuel, bus and trotro fares, and food items such as imported rice and smoked herrings. This calls for a comprehensive and multifaceted approach to address consumer price inflation.
If we really want to tackle inflation, and given the fact that we are having 13 food items featuring, we need to look at our food basket as a country. Are we producing enough? And what we are producing, what is the gap between the farm gate and what happened transmitting this food price from the farms into the market. So we need to have a broader stakeholder consultation to see how each ministry involved so far as this food price monitoring is concerned, to see how we can drive down inflation.
It is interesting to note a staggering increase in the price of smoked herrings.
If you pick the median price for money per kilogram in 2018 against the median price for money in 2024 December, you realize that the percentage change in the price of money is over 400%. So what it means is that the price of money may have gone up by 4 times, starting lower per kg of a 25 cedis and ending the year 2024 by about over 100 cedis per kilogram for money. And this tells us maybe influenced by the taste and preferences of Ghanaians. Ghanaians are shifting more into consuming our money.
By facilitating an open exchange of ideas and expertise, the meeting marked a crucial step towards tackling the challenges posed by consumer price inflation.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. Up next is sports.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. The 2024 African Nations Championships group stage draw took place on Wednesday, January 15 in Kenya. Group A, B, C will have 5 teams each, whilst Group D will have 4 teams. Meanwhile, 2 more countries will join the already qualified 17 after 7 other countries. A reminder that Ghana missed out after losing the final round of qualifiers against Nigeria. The winner of the 8th edition of the competition will be rewarded with $3.5 million. The tournament has been postponed to August this year and will be hosted in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. It's now a good time to take a look at the groups after the draw that was held today. And Group A, we can see one of the hosts, Kenya, alongside Morocco, Angola, Democratic Republic of Congo, and then Zambia. In Group B, we have another host, Tanzania, alongside Madagascar, Mauritania, Burkina Faso, and then Central African Republic. Uganda, who are the final host, would be in Group C, alongside Niger, Guinea, yet to find out the other 2 qualified teams, and then Senegal, Congo, Sudan, and Nigeria make up the final group. Well, let's do some more here, where Antoine Semenyo maintained his fine form on Tuesday night after he scored his 6th league goal of the season against Chelsea. The forward, who has been and the praise of Michael Owen at full-time. There's more in the following report.
Every day, Antoine Semenyo's stock continues to rise, and now Michael Owen is convinced Liverpool should go all out for him should Mohamed Salah leave. His value is pegged around £50 million, but after another wonderful display of pace, power and impeccable finishing, this time against Chelsea, Bournemouth are likely to ask for more if any club approaches them for the Black Stars forward. He won a penalty to help the Cherries draw level and then left Josh Echampong for dead to draw what could have been the winner with a powerful left foot shot. It was his 6th goal of the season, 2 shy of his overall best return of 8 Premier League goals that he scored last season. He has 2 assists too, same as he did last season. Owen, who knows a thing or two about finishing, says if Salah leaves, quote, Semenyo is the man for them, end quote.
Now let's do some more, and we would actually be touching on tennis because Serbian player Novak Djokovic added yet another record for the most Grand Slam matches played in tennis history by reaching 430 on Wednesday at the Australian Open. The 37-year-old defeated Jamie Faria 6-1, 6-7, 6-3, 6-2 to reach the 3rd round of the ongoing Australian Open. The win means Djokovic is now the sole ownership of the all-time record for the most Grand Slam single matches played among men and women, and takes him past the former rival Federer, who played his last major match in Wimbledon at 2021. Now Djokovic expressed his delight after achieving his recent feat.
What to say, you know, I love this sport. I love competition. I love you too, thank you. I try to give my best, you know, every single time. It's been over 20 years that I've been competing in a Grand Slam at the highest level, and whether I win or lose, one thing is for sure, you know, I'll always leave my heart out on the court. And so Grand Slams, of course, they are the pillars of our sport. They mean everything for the history of this sport. They are the ones that motivate the youngest children. You know, when I was a kid, the first image I had of tennis was watching Wimbledon finals. I was 4 or 5 years old. So, yeah, Grand Slams are definitely the most important tournaments in the world in our sport. It's been over 30 years of existence of this incredible event. So I'm just blessed to be making another record, I guess, today.
Well, before we go, let's get some updates on midweek action in the English Premier League, where the headliner for tonight later is Arsenal versus Tottenham Hotspur in what would be the 211th edition of the North London Derby. Meanwhile, other games have already started at 7:30. Still 0-0 in 3 games across England. Newcastle versus Wolves, Everton versus Aston Villa, and then Leicester City at home to Crystal Palace. You can get updates on all of these games and more on our social media handles at 3SportsGH, and then also on 3 News for /sports. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by Napa Foods, Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil, powered by 3 Entertainment.
Tonight in this segment, Ghanaian actor and creative entrepreneur Fifi Coleman has highlighted the present challenge of securing a welfare scheme to protect the future of actors and other entertainers. Speaking to 3 Entertainment, he emphasized the need for such a scheme to ensure the growth and long-term sustainability of Ghana's arts and entertainment industry.
Breaking news From battling liver disease to the need for financial assistance for medical treatments, cases of veteran entertainers reaching out for support to tackle various challenges have been on the rise. Critics argue that entertainers earn sufficient income but often fail to save for their future. Industry stakeholders have been outspoken about the issue, seizing every opportunity to discuss its growing impact on the entertainment sector.
Issues regarding actors' welfare in this country have been very sordid. We've seen a lot of our colleagues pass away in abject poverty. The numbers are staggering.
Speaking on the matter, Fifi Coleman attributed the problem to the lack of a proper support system for entertainers in Ghana.
The problem has been the non-existence of a backing should the unexpected happen. It wasn't a thing that we looked at when we were coming up in the industry.
To address the welfare concerns of aging actors and entertainers, Fifi Coleman, along with other key stakeholders, have introduced a private welfare scheme. The initiative aims to secure the future of entertainers who are often left reliant on public funds during their latter years when faced with illness.
This is something that we're seeking to do to just stretch a helping hand to an ailing actor. Whatever says, I got you, your insurance, whatever it is, for the year, I will take care of it. We are now at a place where those people, they need us to help them without somebody having to judge me that when I was sick, I was begging people for money to pay my hospital bill, or when I pass away, there's nothing in stock for my family.
Other renowned artists and entertainers have applauded the initiative, pledging their support to ensure its success.
Government must look at it in totality and also be willing to contribute a little to it. But this is a good beginning, and we are sure we are going to have a good story to tell in the nearest future.
We'll put our full weight behind it and encourage every single person within the creative sector to be part of this, insurance scheme. And as you well know, life is everything. And so one must take the opportunity that has been offered for all of us to get on board of the scheme and ensure that we insure our lives and those of our families as well.
Up next, we have the very latest in international news.
Daniel Chapo of Mozambique's long-ruling Frelimo party has been sworn in as president of the country. Taking the oath in France on Wednesday, Chapo promised to protect democracy and human rights. The 48-year-old also pledged to shrink the size of the government by reducing the number of ministries, tackle youth unemployment, and prioritize health and education. International observers have said the election was marred by irregularities. An estimated more than 300 people have been killed during protests claiming election fraud. There are reports Israel and Hamas have reached a ceasefire deal to end 15 months of war in Gaza. The deal follows months of talks, with Qatar one of the key mediators. Hamas attacked southern Israel on 7th October 2023, killing about 1,200 people and taking 251 back to Gaza as hostages. The attack triggered a massive Israeli offensive on Gaza, during which more than 46,000 Palestinians have been killed, according to the Hamas-run health ministry.
That's all for News 360. Thanks very much for watching. For more news, you can log on to our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Pa Kwesi Asari.
And I am Portia Gabo. Do join Alfredo Kanse at 10 p.m. for tonight. Good evening.